terms of our children, it's similar. I mean, everybody, hopefully you all look at your children and the children that you have interaction with, and you look at them and you think, and you can see the amazing uniqueness that they are. How many of you guys, in fact, let me just ask this. If you look around the room that you are in or the space that you're in, how many of you guys would agree that every single person in that room is unique? Raise your hand if you think everybody is unique. Created completely separate, unique, different than. There we go. Right? Everybody is unique. Everybody is designed by God with their own creativity and uniqueness. And we all have this beautiful fingerprints of God that are different than the person that's sitting next to us. None of us are created the same, which is amazing. And we're all designed to be able to fit together and to complement one another and to make a cohesive whole. But if we have this direction style leadership, again, we're limited because we're trying to create everybody to look just like us. And we're actually limiting what we can do to actually make our country, our community, our family a better place and to really be able to transform it the way that God sees it. So transformational leadership is different though. Transformational leadership is when we come alongside people. It's an empowering type of leadership that says, you know what, I'm here to serve you. I'm here to bring out the greatness that God created inside of you. And then together, we're going to figure out something to be able to change the world around us. So several years ago, back, oh gosh, it's probably been about 50 years ago, John Maxwell started looking around and came up with this observation that says everything rises and falls on leadership. Now, I know we have a wide variety of leaders and your level of influence could be very different. Maybe you're at the beginning of your journey, maybe you're somewhere in the middle or anywhere along the way. But leadership is just influence. It's the amount of influence you have. So maybe your influence is just with you and your friends, or you and your family, you and some colleagues at work, you and your church, you and your community. That still is leadership. And John Maxwell started looking around and observing that everything rises and falls on leadership, which means that every single problem or opportunity within your family, within your community, within your country is a direct result of those who are leading, which is exactly why you guys are in the room today. Because each one of you have some amount of influence. And when we get leaders together to be able to lead with a transformational style of leadership, then we're going to be able to address the leadership issues to be able to create the world that we want to see. We're not looking to change everything in the world. We're just looking to be able to change the world within our ability and our influence. So several years ago, we went from this shift, and some of you guys that have been a part of the Million Leader Mandate, like Paul mentioned earlier, you understood that the organization as a whole went through this shift of going from training leaders and doing lots of training and event style leadership and that kind of thing to transformation. And the biggest thing about the biggest reason we shifted from training to transformation is that we realized that you could train, meaning you can talk about what you know. How many of you have ever done that? You just say, yes, I learned this new concept, so I'm going to just teach it to someone else. You can talk about what you know, but you only transform who you are. This was something that was really pivotal that we started recognizing and understanding, that we will always reproduce what we are, not what we say. Now, I had this crazy experience when my kids were younger, and I don't know if you have the same statement in Uganda or not, but here in the West, a lot of times we will say that leaders will say, do as I say, not as I do. Say, I'm doing it like this, but I want you to do it this way. So we have this statement and this saying, thinking that it's going to make sense and that it's okay, saying, hey, it's okay for me to act like this, but I want you to act like this. Now, that's something that, we've been working on in the West for a little bit. And it was one of those things that I swore I would never do to my own children because it was something that I experienced from my parents. And I just thought it was crazy. I didn't think that it worked out very, very well. It was like, how come they can do this, but I can't? And that didn't make any sense to me. And so it was something that I swore I would never do until I started teaching my children how to drive a vehicle. Now, if you have never taught someone how to drive a car, then you might not have experienced this. But when you teach a child how to drive a vehicle, there's something that's a little bit terrifying that happens because you realize how little control you actually have. And the things that you have worked on for a long time, there's a lot of skills and a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I can deal with that situation. I've got a lot of experience with it. So maybe I'll drive faster than maybe what I should, or I'll do something, maybe push the boundaries a bit or something along those lines. However, when my children started doing the exact same things that they saw me do, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't want you to do that. That's scary. I don't know what that result's going to end up like. In fact, statistics would say that it's going to end up very badly. They're going to end up in an accident, that the vehicle is going to crash at some point. They're going to hurt themselves. They could hurt someone else. And, the dynamics are not great. But I realized that they were following the behavior that they saw. They weren't listening to my words, they were listening to my actions. And so this is a beautiful example of the shift that we started making as a foundation and as an organization, saying, we need to stop training what we know and we need to start paying attention and being the change that we want to see so that we can bring transformation. Not just, it has to start with me. And then it can be expand out to others because I'm only going to reproduce what I am on the inside, which means all of us have to get better. We all have to get better at the leadership level that we have today. We can all improve. I don't know about you guys, but I think my Bible says that we're not done transforming until we actually see Jesus face to face. Right? That one time when we see Jesus face to face. Yes, Joel, I think you've got your hand raised. Did you have a question for me? Yeah, maybe not. Okay. I will keep going. So, as we were making this shift from training to transformation, we started what we call a transformational leadership movement. And John Maxwell would say that what our world needs most is for people that will learn and live good values. That means I have to go first. And when am I ever done transforming? Like I just said, not this side of eternity. We've got to continue that process to getting better and improving who we are on the inside, that we can multiply that and keep transforming that in the people around us. We need leaders who will lead with good values, that we're going to be able to put those values into practice. And so we need an environment that we can do that in. And you guys were all invited here today to be part of something. We want to be able to equip you with some things called Change Your World Transformation Tables in order to equip you to be able to do just that. That's the opportunity before you. I know we are set to meet for a couple of days in a row. I'm just kind of setting the stage a little bit for us today to let you know what we're going to be talking about in the next 2 days. And the opportunity is for you to become a transformational leader by facilitating the Maxwell transformation tables. Now, some of you guys are already doing a version of the Maxwell transformation tables with our Beyond Success tables. And if things are going well with that and it's really hitting everything that you need, please keep facilitating your Beyond Success tables. If you're looking for something to go hand in hand with Beyond Success tables, this is a great program that can be a both and. Or if you're looking for something, because our Beyond Success tables have the distinctive factor of having an evangelistic component. There's an element within our Beyond Success tables that where John Maxwell shares his faith, and there's an opportunity for people to accept Jesus into their heart and to begin a relationship with Jesus. Now, in some environments, we understand that that's not always appropriate. Depending on what the context is, maybe it's not always appropriate in the workplace, or maybe it's not always appropriate if you have a job within a governmental sphere or something like that, or maybe you're just looking for another opportunity. That's where our Change Your World tables come into play. So our Change Your World tables do not have a faith component. All of the values are rooted and grounded in Scripture. However, there is no reference to Scripture, and so there are no barriers to entry within a governmental sphere or with any workplace where there might be a hindrance. So we just want to make sure that you understand the differentiation between the two. So our transformation tables, oftentimes, so if you've never heard that term, or you're thinking like, what exactly is this? What's she talking about? Transformation tables are just an opportunity where you can gather about 6 to 8 people. The whole point is that you're going to learn to live the values related to life and leadership in a safe, open, and authentic atmosphere. That's all it is. First and foremost, it's just a small group. It's a small group of people because we've recognized over time that transformation happens when we can have life on life discussions with one another, when we can talk about the real things in life that matter, the things that are going to help us grow, when we can talk about our successes, when we can talk about our the areas where things didn't turn out the way that we expected them to, and we're in this beautiful growth environment with each other where we can be accountable for the actions that we say we want to keep in an open and safe, authentic environment. Now, for our Change Your World transformation tables, there are 6 sessions and they last about 60 minutes long. If you have 6 or people or less, they're about 60 minutes long. They're facilitator led. It's a facilitator led discussion with one value per session. Now, the transformation tables have 3 unique keys. These are the keys to success. Why are they so effective? Why would you want to be a part of something like this? First of all, it has a transformational value. There's one value that's discussed each week. And that transformational value with our Change Your World content starts with the value of hope, because nobody can change unless we have hope. If we don't believe that change is possible, and sometimes if we have tried to change things before, if we've tried to do something that is different or bring transformational work, some of the toughest things that we have to manage are the things in our own heart. It's that level of disappointment. It's the things that we have tried that haven't succeeded, the things where we thought it was going to work and then it didn't. And being able to manage disappointment and get back up and go again is where we need to hope. And this is a beautiful thing. If you are a person of faith like I am, hope is the substance of or faith is the substance of the things that we hope for. And we know that each one of us has a measure of faith, that God has given each one of us a measure of faith. And when we can start putting that faith into action, into something like hope, and realizing that, you know what are those things that we hope for? What is it? Maybe some things in your life are going really well, but things in this part of your life are not going the way that you had hoped. And so we can really, there's always an element that we can dig into and say, okay, Lord, where do I need to grow in my hope so that I can take action to move forward? So the next lesson is on the value of listening. And I think this is another one of those leadership issues where we can all improve and get better, because we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And yet for some reason, we all tend to talk more than we listen. And listening has this interesting component, because the more that we listen, the more that we learn, the more that we figure out how to listen and listen with our heart as well as with our ears, the more that we're able to lead with empathy and compassion, the more that we're able to connect with people, the more that we're able to make people feel valued, known, seen, and heard. Now, the next lesson that we work on is the value of valuing every person. Now, valuing every person on the surface, at least to me, this value seemed like it was, oh, yeah, of course, I value every person, until we really start having it challenged. Because valuing every person means just that, every person. Not just the people that agree with me, not just the people that I like. It's the people that are challenging to me. It's the people that disagree with me. It's the people that are mean. It's the people that are actively trying to deceive or manipulate or hurt or cause harm. There's still value in valuing every person, because every person bears the image and likeness of God, and being able to grow in our capacity to value every person and to figure out, how do I show up and what does it mean to value every person right now? So that's what you learn in that lesson. The next lesson is the value of integrity. Now, integrity is an interesting lesson because sometimes we think about integrity as telling the truth or being truthful and honest, which there's a component of that. But but integrity also has this important component of being fully integrated as a person. It means being a whole part person, meaning that I'm not this way with my family, and then this place with my ministry, and then this place in my workplace, or this place when this way when I'm out with friends. It means I'm fully integrated in every capacity of my life, so that I am the same person. The truth of my being matches the way of my being in every situation that I'm in. That's the idea of being an integrous person and walking out integrity. Now, lesson number 5 is the lesson on forgiveness. And forgiveness is one of those components that if you have to deal with other people, which we all do, because John Maxwell likes to say that outside of one person, the world is made up of other people. And because our world is made up of other people, and we are all fallible, perfectly imperfect people, we need to be able to walk in forgiveness of one another, because forgiveness is what sets me free. Forgiveness is not necessarily about the other person, although it can be. But forgiveness, first and foremost, is about me. It's about me being able to walk in freedom and not allowing what someone else tries to do to me, or what their actions do that affect me, control me and to control my behavior. It's being able to set myself free from the impact of what has happened to me. So that's the lesson on forgiveness. And the final lesson that we go through, the final value, is the value of multiplication. Because multiplication just says that what flows to me needs to flow through me. We want to be a river, not a reservoir. We don't want to be some place where we kind of become a stagnant pool. You know, if you think about a body of water that just has something flowing in, but it has no place to escape, it doesn't have an outlet, it becomes really nasty. It becomes a breeding ground for disease. It becomes a breeding ground for all kinds of things that become very unhealthy. But if it has water coming in and water coming out, then it stays fresh, it stays clean. And that's what we want in our own life. We don't want to just become consumers of information. We want stuff to be able to flow out of us, so we can multiply value to others, but we also want to be able to keep our capacity growing. And the more that we give out, the more that we have a capacity to receive. So that's the value of multiplication. And our first distinctiveness, these are the values. Now, the third key to our transformation tables process is it's a transformational process itself. So here's what the transformational process is. I'm going to show you this little video that talks a little bit more about our transformation tables and what that process looks like. So hopefully, oh, no, it helps if I can hit the right play button.
Why are well-educated, intelligent people struggling to succeed in the workplace or university setting? Being taught leadership and putting it into practice are two different things. John C. Maxwell believes that leading oneself well is the most challenging aspect of leadership. The process of developing soft skills like integrity, listening, attitude, initiative, and personal growth is a great start to leadership development. Methodology that emphasizes personal reflection in a weekly action step increases the effectiveness. The transformation tables methodology is incredibly successful in this regard because its very format sets the scene for a different type of engagement with growth. The transformation tables method uses a peer-to-peer small group design where everyone participates, calls for personal reflection that drives one small positive change each week, meets weekly for 1 hour, is facilitated rather than taught, and has a multiplying effect. The format puts every participant on equal ground. Each person in the group is expected to participate, and their voice is wanted and needed to optimize the development experience. Instead of communication being one way, it is a group participation activity which reinforces the learning process. What do transformation tables look like in most communities? A leader chooses to participate in and deploy transformation tables as a leadership development tool. Consistency compounds as the result of weekly positive action steps begin to add up. Families, workplaces, and communities are positively impacted. A common language that shapes the community culture is developed, and measurable results that drive positive performance are observed. Simply put, transformation tables change lives from the inside out and produce a ripple effect that can build toward lasting, positive change in all streams of influence.
That is a little bit more about our transformation tables and the process itself that is so transformative. Now, the third key that we're talking about is to our transformation tables as a transformed person, which is the facilitator. And this is, again, the invitation that you guys have is to stick with us the next couple of days and become a facilitator yourself, because a facilitator is just, it's fairly simple. It's just someone that's experienced a transformation table. They've been trained in the facilitation. They're just a fellow learner along the process. You don't have to be an expert. That's the beautiful thing. The only thing you need to be an expert in is an expert at being humble enough to go on a learning journey with others. It's someone that's been trained in the facilitation process, which is what we're going to do tomorrow. The facilitator guides the experience. That's all you're going to do. You're just going to follow the directions and guide the experience. It's someone that has an open heart and an open mind. They understand how to facilitate in a safe, friendly, and authentic environment. Again, and that's something that you cultivate from the inside. We're going to help equip you on how to do that. But the biggest thing is that it's the no pressure. It's no pressure, as everybody else is empowered to have their own journey. And we'll talk about more of that tomorrow. So this is the opportunity. Like I said, there's three key distinctives. It's the transformation value. It's the transformation process. It's the transformed person that is the facilitator. And that's where we're at. We want to invite all of you guys to become a change your world facilitator so that you can multiply this value to the world around you. Now, like I said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here for a moment. Like I said earlier, if you are already facilitating Beyond Success tables and it's having the effect and the impact that you want, we want you to keep facilitating those. This is not something that you're like, oh, is this new and I need to stop? No, not at all. Keep doing your Beyond Success tables. If you're looking for something different, this is another program that you can use. Again, the distinctiveness between the two. If you did have questions on that, in our Beyond Success program, there are some videos that John Maxwell does a bit of training in the beginning of each lesson for Beyond Success. In this program, there are no videos. It's 100% facilitator led. The Beyond Success program has an evangelistic component to it. In this program, there is not a specific evangelistic component, but what we look at is that each person carries their own ability to be that evangelist, because when we break off a piece of our life, we want people to be able to taste and see that the Lord is good. And we earn the right to be able to share our authentic faith journey with people that we are developing relationship with. So with that, I'm going to stop talking for a few minutes and see if there are any questions. I see there's a couple of things that are over in the chat. I'm just checking out the chat here very much. Oh, I love that. Very Ugandan. I love that comment. So remember to do as I say, but not as I do. Well, I'm glad to know that it is a Ugandan concept as well as one here in the United States. Apparently, it's a human concept, and one thing that we're hoping that we can be transformational leaders and be the change that we want to see in the world, instead of trying to just tell people what to do, because that, frankly, is not very effective. So any questions for me? Feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand. I'm happy to call on anyone.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yes, I've been listening to the program, and the question that I have now, for us who don't have that app now to access the Maxwell program, what are we going to do?
If you don't have the app,
Yes.
yes. So it is the problem. Do you have a smartphone and you're just not, you just haven't been able to find the app, or do you not have a phone that can download the app?
Oh, I have the phone, but the link, how to join it. So you can just tell us what we can do so that we can join and also participate.
Yes. So I'm going to help you with that. So when we all get back together tomorrow, we're going to walk through some facilitator training, and I can help you all get connected with the iTransform app. But we do have a little bit of time today, so it just depends on Paul. Let me ask that question of you, since this is your meeting today. Would it be helpful to be able to share with people how to download the app? Would that be appropriate today, or would you rather wait until tomorrow?
Tough question. I don't know how many questions we have. Maybe we run through the questions and then see how much time we have. If we have sufficient time to go into the app, we do. But if not, then we do the app tomorrow, depending on how many questions we can get. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, Pastor.
Go ahead, Pastor B.
I was just wondering, is this facilitation going to be online or is going to be in-house? The facilitation after the training.
I don't think I'm understanding your question. Does that make sense to you, Paul? Can you help me there?
Yeah, what I mean, for example, after our training, if somebody is to become a facilitator, is he going to be facilitating and training people online, or we are supposed to do it in our localities where we are coming from, our churches or our communities? Thank you.
So that will be up to you. The goal will be for you to facilitate with whoever you know in your sphere of influence. We want to be able to multiply this in as much as our goal is to be able to get every single person in the entire country to be able to be part of a transformation table. whether it is a Beyond Success table, a Change Your World table, or part of our student transformation. So whatever you can do, because we're looking to be able to increase the ability for people to lead from that set of values from the inside out and to be able to multiply that value. So we have people throughout Uganda that are facilitating tables online, and we also have people that are doing it in person. So whatever works best for you, and maybe it is both. So don't limit yourself to anything in particular. We want you to be able to multiply as many people as you can and to get creative with that. All right, I see someone else has a raised hand. Go ahead, my friend. Like Emmanuel.
Praise God. I was making a request that these sessions be recorded, because you have been so fast. We have been trying to write, and we have been missing out on some points because you have been going so fast. So we are requesting next these sessions we record them so that whatever we miss, we can go back and check. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that feedback. And I can definitely work on slowing down. Paul, do you have the ability to record things on your end and make it available for people? Is that something that you guys can do?
Yes, the team, yes, we have the ability to do that. And we will have, so there is a WhatsApp group that has been created. And I think after the training, we'll have to share whatever the recordings in that WhatsApp group. So if you are here, I believe most of you, unless you didn't give us your WhatsApp number, but most of you have been included in the WhatsApp group for Change Your World. So we will have to do that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Carol has some questions. Carol, in call to prayer, you have questions, please. Carol, come on. Call to prayer, your questions, please, or we move to somebody else.
The call to prayer has the first Pastor Isaac.
Thank you very much, Papa. Thank you very much, our facilitator. I don't know whether I'm using the right word. Genesis. What a privilege to have the name Genesis. My question is, I'm fighting to understand between training and shifting, because you said shift from training and transform and go to transform. I'm not getting this well. Can you elaborate more on shifting from training and going into transformation? What is the difference of the two, and how do we do it? Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a great question. Thank you for asking. So training, the way that we think about training is often where it's one-way communication. So if you think about what I've been doing most of the time we have been on this session today, has been me just talking straight to you and trying to train, if you will, train you. If you think about a lot of the style that you think about in education, if you have a classroom and there's a teacher in the front of the classroom, and they're telling the students information, that's training. That's traditional kind of training. Now, what we're looking at, though, is this shift to transformation, because training, again, just tells people what to do. It's very just directing, do this, do this, do this, do this. And then we just expect them to follow those instructions, and then they come back for more, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then they go, and then they come back. However, it does not take into account someone's unique abilities. Transformation, on the other hand, when we're talking about transformational leadership, it doesn't mean that we don't ever train on something. Does that make sense? Is I'm going to train you on how to be a facilitator tomorrow. We're going to walk through a training session on how to be a facilitator. There is value in that. I'm not saying don't ever train. We're just shifting some of our focus and saying, okay, the leadership model that says training only, that is just directive, one-way communication that's training only, is not as effective. What is more effective is to come alongside people in a transformation. So training is like, I'm the teacher or the leader, and then these are the people that are following, and I give information to them, right? It keeps me in a place of superiority above them. Transformation keeps us equal. Means that we're both learning and growing together. I'm going to learn from your life. You're going to learn from my life. There's a way to do things. So, for example, if I were to take the time and go around the room today and ask everybody what their definition of hope is. Hope has all kinds of different nuances and meanings and flavors to it. And I think we would all learn something from one another by taking the opportunity to hear, what does hope mean? What does hope mean to you? It's not that one is right or wrong, or this is the only definition of hope, and this one is wrong. It means, no, there's this beautiful understanding that we're going to get. It's going to enhance all of our understanding. If we go in this together, we are side by side with one another, not superior to. So transformational leadership says, I'm going to go alongside of you. I'm going to go first, because leaders go first, but I'm going to go first in modeling authenticity, modeling the openness, modeling the non-judgmental component of it, meaning I don't have it all figured out. And this is something that oftentimes I from the conversations I've had with Paul and others in Uganda, it's not something that is unique to the place that I live. It's also relevant in Uganda as well, where typically leaders put up this facade. We have an image in front of people that says, I'm the leader. I have it all figured out. Come to me with all of your questions and I'll give you answers. When the truth of it is, we don't have it all figured out. We figured out some things. For example, if my children come to me and they're like, Mom, how do I do this or this? Or, there's some things I have wisdom. I have experience. I have some things that I can share with them, but it doesn't mean it's the only way. It means that I'm like, here's what I've learned so far. Take that and now blend it with the unique way that God has made you, and you build on it and create something different. Is that helpful to you, my friend?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And that's the environment that the transformation tables set, is that it allows us to set at a table together to be equal. So every voice is equal, every voice is valued, and we all become learners together in a collective, a beautiful collective space. I think there was a couple of questions in the chat, so hold on one second. I'm going to read those while we're grabbing more questions from the rooms. I see Philip was asking if it was possible to get the PowerPoint slides. Yes, I'm happy to share those, not a problem. Another question was about how long do we have to go through this to be qualified as a facilitator? This is the beautiful part. After we're done meeting the next couple of days, you're going to be fully qualified to be a facilitator. And the expectation is that you're already looking for people that you can invite to your transformation table. It does not take long because, again, we're all going to be co-learners together. We're going to just show you a few subtle differences in how to make sure that we have two-way conversations, that we're facilitating, not necessarily being up here and being a teacher that's directing and having one-way communication. So by the time we're finished with our time together on Wednesday, you will all be fully qualified to lead your own tables. Let's see. I think that was the final question in. Oh, here's another question in the chat. I thought we were finished, and there's another one that just popped up. Great. So are we going to have a transformational manual to follow through? So there are some instructions we're going to go through tomorrow. There is a table that it's going to walk through what it means to be a facilitator and what it is and what it isn't, and you will have access to that at all times. But most of what you need to know is actually written in the content itself. It's very easy to facilitate, and we want you to be able to bring that out in the lessons. And so it's not, again, it's not as much prescriptive and like you have to do like this. We're going to just talk about some table etiquette, the rules of the table, and you're going to be able to facilitate from there. And it's not this big long thing that you have to study and learn. It's something that you can all do very quickly and easily. So any more questions from the room?
I have one other question. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Jacqueline Malone from Call to Prayer. And my question is under the values, the value of valuing every person. Now we are in a training, and after the training, we shall have that opportunity of facilitating. What if I start this facilitation, then we take a group? I find I welcome friends, and in the same place, my enemies also comes. How will I manage to value that enemy of mine, and yet he or she is in my group? That's my question.
Yes, that's a fantastic question. So I'm going to answer your question with a story of something that happened with a transformation table here in the US. And what happened was there was a gentleman who was a police chief. And so he was the chief of police for this particular region, this city, and he was sitting at this transformation table and had a similar question, because he said, how do you expect me to value every person when you don't understand like the crimes? He's like, it's my job. It is my profession to go and investigate crimes, to be able to show up when the crime has been committed, to arrest people, to put them in jail, you know, all of those things. And he's like, sometimes I show up in horrific places where someone has been murdered, where horrific things have taken place. Violence in crazy ways. And he's like, and you are telling me that I have to value every person. How do I do that? And here's the thing. It's a conversation that happens between you and if you're a person of faith, we believe that the Holy Spirit is with you in that conversation. And so as part of the table facilitation, it's not, if I'm the facilitator of your table or you're the facilitator, it's not your job to solve that for the other person. It's a conversation that they get to have with themselves and with the Holy Spirit. It's a them and them conversation. So in this particular instance, the police chief left because I didn't know, I wasn't in his shoes. I didn't have his responsibilities. I didn't see what he saw on a daily basis. And so it was not for me to be able to answer that. But he left and he said, okay, I'm going to think about it. So he comes back to our session the following week and he said, you know what? I forgot to realize. Because I could not stop thinking about what it meant to value every person. Every day I kept thinking about this and thinking about it and trying to figure out, how do I solve this within myself? So he finally realized that, he said, somewhere along the way in his journey as being a police chief, he stopped seeing people as people, and he started seeing them as the crime they committed. And he realized that somewhere in his own mind, he's like, I don't even know when it happened, but somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing them as people. And he says, I forgot that I am only one part of a justice system. He's like, my job is to serve and to protect. And sometimes the best way that I can value another person is by making sure that they can't do harm to themselves or to others, which would mean to lock them up, put them into prison. That is a way to value them. And he says, but I can start seeing them not as the crime that they committed, but there's somebody's son, there's somebody's daughter, there's someone's father, there's someone's mother, there's someone's sister or brother. They are a person that is created in the likeness and image of God, and somehow they have fallen short of the glory of God, like we all have at every given time. Now, that is how he resolved it. We all have the opportunity to resolve it for ourselves. So if, for example, you are in a session and, like you said, my enemy shows up, maybe the most beautiful way that you can value that person is by letting them sit at a table with you, by you guys choosing to learn and grow together, and choosing to be authentically yourself and to show up and to share with them the beauty and the authenticity of the fruit of your life. That could be a way to value them. But you get to go on that journey yourself and to figure out and to ask God, God, what does it look like? What does it mean to value this person today? Is that helpful to you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was helpful. Well, thank you so much, Madam Genesis. Again, our time is up. 6 or 7, sorry. I'm so thankful that Genesis should set aside time to be with us today. All the pastors, all the leaders, bishops, in all your capacities, thank you for joining us this evening. Genesis, as mentioned, will be here tomorrow. We start at the same time. It will not be an hour earlier, like I said yesterday. It will be it will be let's be here by 5 Uganda time, 5:45. Genesis will start with us at 6 p.m. exactly, and we'll have an hour. There's so much they're offering us. There's an app that you'll be led into and be trained on how to be a facilitator. Now, at the end of the day, everything you're going to do has an impact on your church, on your community, in your family. It is you are the, at the end of the day, let me put it this way, you are the beneficiary of this facilitation. So we are really blessed to have you, and we look forward to having you again tomorrow. So God bless you so much. But Genesis, I don't know if what you have to say last, and then we can let them go for tonight.
Yes, thank you so much. It is, again, a pleasure and an honor to be with all of you. I look forward to seeing all of your faces again tomorrow. Tomorrow, we will be diving into the specifics of the facilitator training. So if you do have the opportunity to get connected on the iTransform app, we'll send you a code. Just download it onto your phone, and then we can do the rest tomorrow. And we'll walk through that step-by-step process.
Yeah, so the app goes to your phone. So those of you, if you're inviting, some of you are inviting your elders or ministers in the church to join, the app has to go on your phone. It's designed for your phone, but again, you'll be led through all of that tomorrow. It is a privilege to serve you. Let us know how we can serve you more. We want you to do better. We want your organization or your church to succeed. We love you. God bless you.